Not everyone is suffering a downturn in profits during the pandemic. And I'm not just talking about Zoom. Bicycles. The good old-fashioned push bike is experiencing a sales boom, and it's a trend we've been fascinated with for a couple of years now. So, well, how do we capitalize? Well, cycle helmets, of course, and a remarkable little Swedish publicly traded company called MIPS. So here's the insight. Post-COVID-19, city dwellers will embrace cycling, choosing to social distance and avoid public transportation in favour of a more healthy, hygienic, lower carbon mode of transport. But how did we get here? Let's break it down. Our analysis highlights the collision of several powerful converging trends. The transition of major cities to low-carbon economics, the desire for improved public health, and new technology driving broader-based cycling adoption. First, let's look at the environmental thread. Starting back in 2015, when Oslo announced its intention to ban cars in the city centre. At the same time, major cities around the world set aggressive targets to rid themselves of the internal combustion engine for good. One of those is Rome, which in March 2018 announced its plan to ban diesel cars completely by 2024 in an attempt to save historic buildings from damage caused by air pollution. Fast forward to 2019, and we've got Delhi declaring its pollution crisis a national emergency, reintroducing significant car restrictions to tackle air pollution. So clearly over the last few years there's a global trend towards a reduction of vehicles in cities. Now let's rewind again and pick up the simultaneous trend towards cycling and electric technology. The first one is a big old clue towards the investment edge. No helmet, no insurance. That's what Nationwide tells its travelling customers in 2017, suggesting that insurers could play a key role in driving the adoption of helmets, alongside the adoption of cycling and scooter riding. Then the tech drive really kicks in. Lime reaches 11.5 million rides just 14 months after deploying its first bikes. Chinese bike-sharing startup Hello Bike seeks $500 million in funding to satisfy a reported 300 million users. Uber notches up range and speed on e-bikes in London. New York City looks to electric cargo bikes for home deliveries to ease congestion. LA considers forcing Uber and Lyft to electrify their fleets, reducing their emissions and increasing clean air for cyclists. Add to that some substantial investment in road infrastructure, including New York City, which will spend $1.7 billion over 10 years on dramatically improved safety for cyclists and pedestrians. Drop in a sprinkle of safer traffic via road user detection technology for AVs, and where do we end up? 2020. And on the 29th of March, the BBC reports that bicycle sales are booming during the pandemic, speculating that safer means and greater independence of travel are trends likely to thrive even post-pandemic. Take some antibacterial wipes, clean the handlebars, and you're off to the races. Or the grocery store. Or eventually the office. So, what is the investment edge? Well, MIPS technology in cycle helmets. The Swedish helmet technology developer could become the Zoom of the cycling and scooter world, giving investors the 5-year ride of their lives. But what actually is MIPS? MIPS stands for Multi-Directional Impact Protection System, and MIPS in Stockholm has a patented technology for helmet safety that significantly reduces head trauma from cycling and scooter accidents by mimicking the mechanism utilized by our bodies to protect the brain inside the skull. Helmets including MIPS technology occupied the top 4 spots in a recent Virginia Tech helmet safety study, and it's become internationally recognized for improving safety in a growing market where consumers will definitely value quality over price, protecting long-term margins. Of course, there'd be no heads without tails, so let's take a look at the flip side. Lawsuits around the MIPS patent seem likely to persist, which is generally just, a bit messy. And speaking of messy, bike and scooter sharing is becoming so popular that it requires government regulation to put the brakes on. Despite all the splashy, headline-grabbing investment, governmental approach to cycling adoption has been criticised as piecemeal, with CityLab.com describing it as like trying to build a bridge with twigs and calling for more ambitious planning in order for bikes to fulfil their potential. Then there's weather. Cycling in the rain? Or the snow? And speaking of snow, MIPS is also used in ski helmets, which might go downhill as skiers shun crowded cable cars and bubble lifts and climate change hits the slopes. So, Get to the point. Well, as we've explored, a clear uptake of anti-pollution measures, plus incremental adoption of and investment in e-bikes and bike sharing, plus diminishing safety concerns around city cycling, plus increasing desire for hygienic and independent modes of travel post-pandemic, plus cities changing infrastructure to accommodate bicycles, plus studies that show MIPS as a world leader in helmet safety, equals a logical increase in cycle helmet sales featuring MIPS technology and a stock that's worth the ride.